Windows Server 2025 delivers security advancements and new hybrid cloud capabilities in a high-performance AI platform. In this lesson, I will introduce you to Windows Server 2025, its hardware requirements, and how to install it. Microsoft Windows Server 2025 is the 14th and current major version of the Windows NT operating system produced by Microsoft to be released under the Windows Server brand name. It was released on November 1, 2024. Microsoft Windows Server 2025 prepares you for tomorrow while delivering the security, performance, and flexibility you need today. It helps to be more productive with easier networking, faster storage, and hybrid cloud capabilities that adapt to your needs. Microsoft offers several editions of Windows Server 2025, including Essentials, Standard, Data Center, and Data Center Azure. Smaller organizations with limited IT needs might find Windows Server Essential the right choice for their workloads. Licenses are not available directly from Microsoft and can only be purchased from the hardware OEM pre-installed on server hardware. Windows Server Essential is only available on server with single CPU with less than 10 cores. The standard and data center editions are similar with a few key differences. The main one is the standard edition only licenses Hyper-V for up to 2 VMs. There is no limit to data center edition. Likewise, the standard edition supports the disaster recovery feature storage replica, but only allows a single partnership and one resource group. A partnership executes replication between two servers or clusters. There's also a volume size limit of 2 terabytes. The data center edition does not have these limits. Microsoft said it optimized the Windows Server Azure Edition for use in its cloud platform. Unlike the standard and enterprise editions, the Azure Edition does not run on physical hardware and can only be installed in a VM. The main difference between data center and Azure Data Center is the delivery of product updates. The Windows Server Standard and Data Center Edition receive updated features as a part of new releases, which happen every couple of years. In contrast, the Windows Server Data Center Azure Edition gets new features through Windows updates annually. Windows Server 2025 requires a 64-bit CPU running at 1.4 GHz as minimum. Windows Server 2025 allows up to 2048 logical processors. The minimum memory requirement for Windows Server 2025 is 512 megabytes. However, at least 2 GB of RAM is required to use desktop experience, although Microsoft recommends at least 4 GB. Windows Server 2025 can be installed on a system with 32 GB of storage, but Microsoft stresses that this is an absolute minimum. If the machine has 60 GB or more of RAM, then the system will use additional storage space to accommodate paging, hibernation, and memory dumps. Microsoft recommends 64 GB or more storage space for best performance, particularly when running desktop experience. In this demonstration, I will install Windows Server 2025 on LabDC1 virtual machine. After that, I will perform post-installation configuration on the server. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to right-click on the virtual machine that we installed earlier, and I'm going to right-click on it and I will go to Settings. From here now, I'm going to click on the SCSI controller. I'm going to click on the DVD drive. Then I will click Add. This simply shows that I'm not trying to add a DVD drive into the virtual machine. From here now, under the media, I will select image file, where I will now browse to the image file, and I will select the image file where I have my Windows Server 2025. I will then click apply, and I will then click OK. There's one more thing I need to check before I proceed. I will right click again and go to settings. I want to check the checkpoint. If you notice, the checkpoint is enabled. So I'm going to disable this checkpoint because I don't need it at this point. For me, checkpoint is only advised to be used in a production environment, not in a testing environment. So I'm going to now click apply, and I will click OK. Now I'll right click and connect. This is just a way for me now to now see the virtual machine. Now the virtual machine is not running. So I can now click start now to start running the virtual machine. And as you can see, it is connecting. And any moment from now, it will start booting from the DVD. See now? It's now loading. And this is it now. This is the Windows Server setup. Now I'm going to select the language to install. Then I'll also select the time and currency format. For the time and currency format, I'm going to leave it United States English as well. I'll click next. Then it's now asking me now to select the keyboard. Now this one now you have to select the right keyboard. And we have different keyboard settings. We have US, you have UK, you have Japanese, you have Turkish. It depends on the keyboard settings you are using. So you have to check your system to be sure that you are using the right keyboard settings. Now for my system, that is the host that I'm using right now, it is US keyboard. Some keyboards are in UK, like I said earlier, and so on. So you have to check and to confirm that you're using the right keyboard. Now, is there any implication if you fail to select the right keyboard input here? Yes. For example, if you fail to select the right keyboard input, you'll start having issues when you need all those special characters like @ ampersand, and so on. So it's good for you to check your keyboard before you select the keyboard input. So I'll click next. Now it's asking me now, what do I want to do? I would like to install Windows Server. So I will check this to agree. So what does it mean? I want to agree that everything will be deleted, including files, apps, and settings. So it simply means that it's going to clear the drive and make it a fresh drive. So I'll click next. Now it's saying that we are getting a few things, right? Now it's asking me now to now select the image. Now, if you look at this, I have four. I have standard evaluation in the server core, and I also have in desktop experience. I also have data center evaluation in server core and in desktop experience. Now, this server is DC1, so I'm going to use standard evaluation desktop experience. The desktop experience is the GUI. If I use this, or if I use this, it's going to be server core, and server core doesn't have GUI. Although you can convert it to GUI later, but by default, you are going to be using scripts to manage it. So I'm going to select this, and I will click next. So it's getting things ready, and now it's asking me now to go through the license terms. Ordinarily, I'm supposed to take my time and read this, but I will just scroll down and I will click accept. But in your own way, it's good for you to read it. It's very, very important. So I will click the next button, and it's now searching for what? For the disk where it's going to install the Windows Server. I will click next, and you can see this is already there. So I've already clicked next. And remember the size of that disk, that is the size we configure while creating that virtual machine. Now it is ready to install. It's going to install Windows Server 2025 Standard Evaluation Desktop Experience, and it's going to keep nothing. So I will click install. Now it's installing the Windows Server. At this point, I'm going to pause this video now, and I'll be back once the system is ready, or let me say, once it has completed the installation. Okay guys, so as you can see now, the installation is completed. Now I need to provide the administrator's password. Now the username is already there, administrator. So for the password, I'm going to use this password. Now for this password, you have to make sure that it's a strong password. And what are the things that makes a password to be a strong password? There are 5 things that you need to put into consideration before you can say this password is a strong password. What's the number one? In your password, there must be at least one uppercase letter. Two, there must be at least one lowercase letter. Three, there must be at least one special character. Four, there must be at least one number. And five, in terms of the width of that is the length of the password, it must be minimum of 8. So I'll now click finish. So it's finalizing the whole thing now. As you can see right now, the server is actually ready. So I will now supply that password again and I'll press enter. So I'll click accept. So it's trying to load the server manager now. And after that, we'll be able to now configure the Windows Server 2025. So it's still loading the server manager. And how do I know that? If you look at it very well, you see something like this. That is to show that it's still loading. Another way to know that it's not fully ready is that there is one more link that's supposed to be here. At least by default, supposed to have like 4 instead of these 3. You can see now the 4th one is out. And that is to show now that the server is completely ready. Having installed the Windows Server 2025 on the large DC1, I want to now perform post-installation configuration. Post-installation configuration is part of the configuration you have to do when you install a new server. And how do I go about that? I'll just come to the local server, and in the local server, that's where I will see the properties of this particular server that I just installed. One of the information that I would like to change there is the time zone. If you look at this time zone, it's showing what? UTC Pacific time, which is US and Canada. And that was what I selected while performing that installation. But now I can click on the link and change it to any other time zone of my choice. For example, I will switch it to West Central Africa. Another post-installation configuration I always like to touch or talk about is the IE Enhanced Security configuration. This is actually there for security reasons. The main purpose of server is not for you to be browsing, rather is for you to be able to use it to host information. So what IE Enhanced Security configuration does is that anytime you open a browser on the server and you are trying to open a site, it will ask you to add that URL into some kind of security settings of the server. So you can decide to turn this one on or off. Although in a real life situation, it's not good to turn it off. But for this demonstration, I'm going to turn it off. Another thing that I always like to configure is the Ethernet. The Ethernet is talking about the IP address and every other things like the DNS settings and so on and so forth. So I'll click on this link. Now this is available because I've inserted a private virtual switch while configuring the virtual machine. So I can now click on this Ethernet now and go to properties where we have opportunity to set the IP4 address for this server. The address I will use is 192.168.0.10. because this is going to be the DC1 server. The subnet mask will be generated for you, and for the default gateway, I'm going to use 192.168.0.1, and for the preferred DNS server, now this server is going to serve as the first DNS. Later on in the other videos that I will release, I'm also going to configure the second DNS, and the IP address of that one will be the alternate DNS. Since this is going to be the first domain controller, which in most cases by default also serve as the DNS server, I will put the IP address of this server there, 192.168.0.10. Then I will say OK, and I will say OK, and I will close it. And that is how to set the IP address. Now, if you look at this information has changed. This one has also changed. So it might take some seconds or few seconds after you have configured before you see the changes. So the last thing that I would like to configure as part of the post-installation configuration is the computer name. If you look at the computer name, is giving us some kind of a character that doesn't relate with what our server name should be. The server name is what? Lag DC1. So on the Windows server, it's giving us another set of name. So I will click on the computer name and I will go to change, where I will now have the opportunity to change the name of the computer, lag-DC1. Then I will click OK. Then I will click OK, and I will close. So I'll click Restart now. Now the server is ready again, so I'll supply the password again. Now the server manager is ready, so I'll click the local server again so that we can confirm those information. As you can see, the computer name is now lag-DC1, and this is the IP address that I configured, and that is 192.168.0.10. In this lesson, you have learned about Windows Server 2025. You have also learned how you can install it and perform post-installation configuration on it. Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing to this channel. Please, let me know what you think in the comment section. And do not forget to leave a like and share this video. See you in the next one.